On New Year's Day, 1753, a 20-year-old maidservant named Elizabeth Canning vanished from the streets of London. Nearly a month later, she stumbled back to her mother's house in Aldermanbury, skeletal, her clothes torn, unable to speak coherently about what had happened to her. By the time she could tell her story, it would tear London apart. Elizabeth had been working as a live-in servant in a respectable household. On that cold January morning, she'd stepped out on an errand and never came back. When she finally reappeared, she claimed she'd been dragged into a house in Enfield Wash, a rough hamlet north of the city, and locked in a hayloft by two women, Susanna Wells, who kept the house, and an older woman named Mary Squires. For 28 days, she said, they kept her prisoner, fed her almost nothing, trying to force her into prostitution. The local alderman believed her. So did Henry Fielding, the magistrate and novelist, who was then running London's criminal investigations. He saw a clear case of kidnapping and exploitation. Warrants were issued. Wells and Squires were arrested. Witnesses came forward. A trial was held, and both women were convicted. Squires, as the more dangerous offender, faced the noose. But then something shifted. A rival magistrate named Crisp Gascoigne, who would soon become Lord Mayor, began asking questions that didn't fit. Witnesses who supported Canning's story started to crack under scrutiny. A woman testified that Mary Squires had been nowhere near London on the day Canning disappeared. She'd been in the countryside 50 miles away with documented proof. Other details in Canning's account didn't hold up. The timeline didn't work. The hayloft showed no signs of habitation. By the time Gascoigne finished his investigation, he was convinced Canning had fabricated the entire story. But Fielding had already staked his reputation on her truth. Gascoigne moved to have the conviction overturned. The case split London's legal establishment in half. Fielding's supporters demanded justice for a vulnerable girl. Gascoigne's insisted they'd been duped by an elaborate lie. Mary Squires was eventually pardoned, but not before her name was destroyed. Elizabeth Canning lived another 20 years after that, but history never quite settled what she actually was. A victim of a crime so strange no one could prove it, or a liar so convincing she nearly hanged an innocent woman. What do you think really happened in that hayloft?